Why did nobody tell me they added my husband into the game? What were you guys thinking? No one told me about Darkin. I finally got him while pulling for Pamina. Got him up to 2 stars. I'll get him higher eventually, all right? You know, good things come to those who wait. But yeah, joking aside, I just started using him because I just got him. And yeah, he's one of my favorite gold units in the game immediately. This is like a Nungal. You could say Nungal at home, but I think he's arguably better in some ways, although he's definitely a gold version of her. So he's not going to be generically as good, I don't think. But let's kind of go over Darkin. I haven't gone over him at all on the channel because I just got him. So you might know what he does. But I am all about the lower rarity units. They are my shiznit. So what's his trait? Changes physical damage into magical damage. First and foremost, that is important. It's identical to Nungal. It's kind of similar to Dandelion, but not exactly. But basically, yeah. So he does scale his physical attack, but when he deals the damage, it'll be dealt in the form of magical damage. For each 1 tile between the character and the target, and the tile next to him is 0, counts as 0 tiles. But for every tile beyond that, you will get increased attack up to 21%. And this is at 2 stars. It will go up to 4%, up to 28%. And then the first part doesn't change. It's basically going to change how fast it scales up. And in fact, you get full scaling at 4 stars, which is pretty good. And then the only other thing they add is you're going to start getting energy when you defeat a target. Now, this is okay. The energy after defeating a target is fine. I don't think it's like super necessary, honestly. But it's nice. So it kind of synergizes with his kit pretty well, and you'll see why in a second here. But I still don't think it's like the biggest deal in the world. So what is his kit? What does he do? So obviously you can tell he does magic damage and he wants to stay far away from the target. What is his signature skill? Guys, this might be my favorite signature skill outside of August's signature skill. And I'm trying to think of other characters that have really, really iconic signature skills. But this is a very iconic signature skill. Bitterwort has a pretty reasonable one too, I think. Pinpoint elimination. I thought this was going to be the skill that was the Ballista has one that has the same picture, right? Totally different skill though. Cannot move before using the skill. Downside. It has a range of 2 to 5 though. That is a huge range. That is the same range as I think Nungal's like super ultimate sniper attack, right? So this, you can't move before using the skill. Sucks, but it's all right. Single target attack deals 140% damage. Not the craziest damage, but that is a very respectable amount of damage. Anything below 140, I'm like, that's on the low end. Anything above 140 is on the good end. So I think this is a very medium amount of damage. Before attacking, if the target hasn't moved in the current round, typically that's going to be from them being slower than you. It could be naturally slower than you, or there's a lot of ways to manipulate speed, which this character has some ways of themselves. You get a 100% crit chance. If they haven't moved, you get a guaranteed crit, and you ignore 30% of their defense. Whoa, buddy. Now you're doing 140% damage with a guaranteed crit and ignoring 30% defense with just all in one skill. That is so strong. It only costs 2 energy. It does have a 2-turn cooldown. We'll talk about the team comp in a second here. So you're not going to be using this every turn. Now, just like with all other skills, you can't move before attacking. If you use an instant skill, such as, I don't know, Spring Pill, Flying Blade, Arm Guard, Roaring Flint, Old Scroll of August, or even like Disaster Bottle, things like that, this will all reset the movement counter. So you can move your full length, use one of these instant use items, and then you can still attack. However, he has an instant use skill in his kit that you can get, so that will also reset it. So this is actually a much, much, much smaller drawback than it looks like. It is very easy to be able to use this whenever you want. The only time it's not going to be good is if you use this and they've already moved, then it's just a 140% damage. At that point, it's not that good. But if they haven't moved yet, this is sick. So that is his signature skill. He only has a 110 movement. So he is slow. But he has multiple ways to address that. So let's kind of go over here. So rank 1, you have your first non-choice, but it's very important. You know, it's still very good. So rupture armor, I like it, but it's not what this character is going to want. Before a single target attack, 50% chance to inflict physical defense down 2. If you really need physical defense down, I would bring something else that does it with a 100% of the time. You don't want to use a skill slot for a percent chance. It's okay on, like, I think it's Outlaw Axeman or something like that. Because he's like a common unit and he can still do some reasonable damage. And this is like, it's like fine in that situation. But the other one here, easy snap pick. Mobile crew increases, it's a passive, increases speed by 100 just for having it equipped. That's more than Lightning gets. I think Lightning only gets 50 for her unique skill called Lightning. Before attacking, if the target's speed is lower than the character, so this will double up on that skill, you know, that's ignoring the armor doing the crit, you increase damage dealt by 10% and you ignore the reaction skill. I think this is super important. The damage 10% is good, but ignoring the reaction skill, there are a lot of reaction skills that just reduce damage by a large amount. Like, you take 30% reduced range damage, you take 20% less damage when being attacked from the front. You take less, you know, so being able to ignore all of those, I think this last little bit here is actually a deceptively large amount of damage. So this ability does 3 things. All 3 are very, very good. They range in how good they are. 100 speed, obviously speed is great. This brings him up to what, 211? Not one of the 210, not one of the fastest characters in the game, but faster than the average for sure. So he becomes quick. In addition to becoming quick, he also just does 10% more damage and he ignores reaction skills. Good, good, good. I would take Mobile Crew 100 times out of 100. I don't always run it on my bar because if this doesn't actually, if you're fighting things that are already slower than you for some reason, or you have other characters like Tyre who will increase your speed, or you have Scrolls of August, if you have other ways, or you're using Edda, which lowers their speed by 150, for example, and he does magic damage, so Edda's good with them. There are lots of ways in different team comps that you just don't need the speed. However, it's still the best skill, and being able to, in all the other parts of it are very good, and this makes them self-sufficient effectively. Rank 3, I don't think Lasso Shot is as good as I would like. I don't like, this is a character that actually is getting guaranteed crits and ignoring defense. I don't want him to be spending his turns. If this was instant skill, that would be something different. But doing a 20% of their HP and inflicting restraint, which lowers their speed, which I like that it lowers their speed because then he could do that. But again, there's just other ways to manipulate this. Like if you give yourself 100 speed, give them minus 100 speed. Yeah, you're going to always be faster. But then it just does attack. It does almost no damage against most targets in the game. It does very little because it's percent of their HP, which is bad. It does attack down, but you're probably not going to really get hit that much. And then if you do it twice on, or a different character uses it, you could stun them. It's like fine. But I would rather have someone else use Lasso Shot, slow them down. That way this character can go and actually use his powerful skills. Precise Shot is not an insanely good skill. I would say 130% is, like I said, it's right on that below average, you know, of what I would want to be doing for a damage dealer. But it's reasonable, takes no energy. I'm just take it here. I don't see myself just ever using Lasso Shot, and Precise Shot is something that I could use. For his reaction, the Highland Advantage, I don't think it's very good. When you're hit by an active attack, damage taken is decreased, and if they're on a lowland, you get 30% damage decrease. I mean, it's like fine, but strength activation is so good. When you get healing, you heal 10% more, and when you receive healing, you get damage too. That's 20% damage buff. It's almost easy to make this just passively go off all the time. You could either activate this through some sort of lifesteal, just have Coco on your team who actively heals people like at the start of their turns, and Nana just sometimes heals people, Maitha sometimes heals people. There's a lot of ways to like inconsequentially get like a little bit of healing and keep this triggered forever. Strength activation, definitely the way to go here. Rank 7, this is one that I don't think you have to think about, but I do think foot sniping is a good skill on a lower rarity unit. 110% damage, you could use it every single turn, so it's better than a basic attack, and it lowers their movement by 2 turns. This is really good for kiting. If you're fighting like one-on-one and the character's way stronger than you, but they don't have a lot of versatility, they're just a melee guy. You can make it so they could like literally never hurt you, right? You could put a thing of fire down around them with a different character and then keep their movement down. by 2, and then they literally can't move any squares because they have 1 movement and it's 1.5 to move into a fire tile, so they just have to stand there. So foot sniping is a good ability. It also has a pretty great range and can hit adjacent, which is kind of rare for ranged attacks. So overall, it's a good skill, but I think you got to take the ace sniper. But let me say one thing here. Okay, let me complain to XD Entertainment, to your face, XD. Why is the ace sniper skill not in the snipe tree? Why is it in the tactical tree? Ace sniper should be in the sniper side of the tree. There, I said it, okay? I said it. This is a tactical skill, lowering their movement. This is an increasing your range sniper skill. I'm just saying, flavor lost, game. That's complete bullcrap. Joking aside, like I really do think it should be over there, but like who cares, right? But what does the skill actually do? 1 energy, 5 turn cooldown, so you're not going to be using it a lot, but it's pretty freaking sick, man. Instant skill, so now you don't need to use an instant trinket if you're using this skill. Range 2, it gives you 2 range. So this skill is actually a little bit of a double-edged sword. It's not as powerful as you would think, but it is powerful. It increases your maximum range by 2, but it also increases your minimum range by 2. So that is very important for certain skills, like whatever, like his signature skill, right? It can only hit at a range of 2. It actually can only hit at a range of 4. Like it can't hit the first one, it can't hit your first 3 tiles around you. So it becomes like you have to be far away. This could make it so it's actually hard to hit things if you don't use it right. But if you're just using it to hit something really far away, it's purely a buff. And it's only until the end of the turn, every 5 turns. That's why I don't love this skill, but it is pretty sick. And when you defeat a target, you get to re-attack. Now, it doesn't say this anywhere here, but I tested it. You can only re-attack once. This is not a... this is not like XCOM fighting the zombies, right? If you guys have played XCOM 2, fighting the whatever the zombies are. But like you get a headshot, you get to attack again, headshot, attack again. This doesn't just keep chaining. If you kill one target, you get to attack a second target, essentially. So you can execute a weaker thing and then attack a stronger thing. And even if you kill that second target, it's still done here. So every 5 turns, you're going to potentially get up to 2 attacks. This is a good skill. It's a reasonable skill. It's good because it will allow you to move and then use your pinpoint elimination. And it'll allow you to use your pinpoint elimination at a range of 7 tiles, which again will increase this, right? 3, 6, 9. Well, the first tile doesn't even count. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That'll be 18% attack. So you're getting an extra 6% attack in addition. And if you're at level, what if you're 4-star? If you're 4-star, you're getting 8% more attack just passively when you use that. So it is a great skill. That's why I took it. Even though I like foot sniping, I think you got to take this one. And when you do get a chance to re-attack, it is very good. Now for rank 9, I actually think this does matter. I really think ceiling attack kind of sucks here. I don't know why you'd want to use this. It can turn off passive skills on injured, but really this is like, I don't know. This just to me does not feel like you could go really tactical with this character if you want. You could use a lasso to restrain targets, and you could use a foot sniping to lower their movement, and you could use your ceiling attack to turn off their passives and you know, when they're injured. I feel like that's all pretty weak comparatively to just using something like hypnotic attack. 100% damage. It doesn't have the curve shot, so it could be a little harder to land, but it inflicts sleep 30% of the time. It just inflicts sleep 30% of the time. That is a very nice skill to just have on cooldown if you have nothing better to do. So overall, I fucking love this character. He is super badass. This is what I'm running right now. You might be asking, why am I not running Ace Sniper? There's a good reason I'm not running Ace Sniper or a Trinket. And that is going to be related to the build that I'm using him with. I am using him with Coco pretty much all the time. If you don't have Coco, I think you are going to want to change what you're seeing here on screen. I think you are going to want to use Ace Sniper. I think I would not use Mobile Crew at this point. I would use something like Etta to instead manipulate the speed, or someone like Tyre to manipulate speed to be faster. And I would use something like Precise Shot, because this is going to have a 2-turn cooldown. You're not going to be able to use it every turn. You probably don't want to use Hypnotic Attack. So, you know, on turn 1, you get a pinpoint elimination. Turn 2, you get a Precise Shot. Turn 3, you get a pinpoint elimination. And then I believe on turn 4, I think you get the Hypnotic Attack and then use Precise Shot over the first 5 turns. So I think having Precise Shot is good. Even though maybe Mobile Crew is just better, and you just off turns, you just are using Hypnotic Attack to get your energy back and having a chance to inflict sleep. I think that's totally reasonable as well. But the reason why I'm not using this is because I'm using Coco to give him happiness. And I'll be able to show you in a combat scenario we're coming up to. But basically, Coco is his best friend because she's going to give him happiness, which is going to reduce the cooldown of this and the energy of this by 1. But happiness only works in the first skill you use. So if you try to use your Ace Sniper, this will consume the happiness, and so then you won't be able to use pinpoint elimination. You can, but with Coco, you could use pinpoint elimination literally every single turn for the entire combat, as long as you don't have to move, which is going to be very good, because it also works with trinkets the same way. Happiness, the next time you do anything, it does it. So I will give you a demonstration there in a second, but let's go over the equipment. Star Raid crossbow, 10 out of 10. This is his perfect weapon. You don't even need to think about it. Increases his crit, which is bad, but after you deal crit damage at 5-star, you have a 100% chance to deal an additional physical attack as piercing damage. He literally has 100% crit chance built into one of his skills. So he's going to be getting crits. There is a chance that maybe you want to just take the flat 5%. Maybe you just want to take the infection and then deal 20% more damage to enemies with infection. Maybe you just want, again, the 5% attack on here. I think that stuff's all reasonable. But, I mean, come on. You got a 100% crit chance. I think that you're just taking the 20% extra piercing damage every single turn. At least I am. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think this is clearly his best. Now, as far as the trinket, if you're not using Coco, you're probably going to want to use something like Spring Pill to keep him healed on his own, activate his own strength activation. You could even, if you don't have Spring Pill, you could even come down here and use the Spring Tonic. I think that's also good. But as far as instant skills, I'm not using them because I want Coco around. And I'm also not using Maverick's Cloak for the same reason I want Coco around. I do think Shield of Justice, if you happen to have that, is probably the best because it gives you really good stats. I am not using this because it is built for a different character. You can't see it, but it's magic attack, max HP. And I just don't want to put in that much effort. True Lens I am using, not because I expect him to get Highland that much, and even then it doesn't even matter because it gives him crit, which he doesn't really need. It's just 5% basic attack, and it's a reasonable thing here. Now, as far as Resonance goes, I am going with the Unharmed. Most of them are pretty bad on this character, surprisingly, if you look at the resonances. Like attacking unharmed enemies, 20% crit, that sucks. You don't want that because you already have guaranteed crits. The Wand, you're only using 1 attack a turn, so I don't think this is exceptionally good. Pentacle just has no synergy. Before actively attacking, you get extra stats. Like Sword Wand is like the best usually, but it's just he actively doesn't want to move. If you're not using Coco though, and you are using instant skills, this is the kind of thing you probably want to use. But again, I don't even think it works. If you move, well, it lasts until the start of the next turn. So if you move, use an instant skill, then you should still get it. Then probably you are going to want to use this. I just like the flat 12% all the time. He pretty much always stays healed, especially if you have Coco, the Bento, the Breakfast will keep him healed once his turn starts. You could go with the Lifesteal. I don't think it's particularly necessary. Wand Cup, I don't think is particularly good on him either. So I am using the Unharmed. I think it's the best one. As far as the Tarot goes, you could just go with flat damage. You know, you could just get 16% damage. I think that's good. But because if you are going to be using this sniper stance here, the Ace Sniper, and you want to kill things, I think it is reasonable to use the Emperor to do the most amount of damage to healthy things in an attempt to kill them. You could go with Judgment here, the one that gives you 15% more crit damage, but then you have to kind of waste the initial because you don't really need the crit, and that kind of sucks. So I tend to prefer, you could even have him just go after injured targets instead. I actually don't hate the Sun ignoring 40% of their defense, stacking with his natural 30%. I think that is actually pretty reasonable, but I don't like things that have to have the enemies at a certain low threshold, because enemies always start healthy, so you know they're going to be there. When they have to be injured, it can be awkward for some turns. So even though he doesn't have AoE, I'd probably be going with Magician because of the flat 16% damage. Or I have honestly just kind of come around on the Emperor. I like the Emperor a lot. I don't think you need the Wheel of Fortune because he's not that energy hungry. And so a lot of the turns you're not going to be getting things that are that particularly useful. But yeah, that is the build, and let's go into a little demonstration. All right, so here are some units that I think are particularly good with them. So one is Edda. Edda shreds magic defense. You probably know that. The Liquor is incredibly good and has a damage up 3. These are just good. They do their thing, plus has the box so you can more easily get this Highland advantage, which isn't important in the sense of the True Lens, but it is just more damage. Coco is exceptionally good that I want to showcase specifically with this character, because two things. One, it's the once she's at 5-star, she has to be at 5-star, but triggering happiness to make it so he could use his best skill every single turn is so good. And Iron Pot Stew just has a bonus 15% crit damage in it as well. So again, increases his damage and his ability to do what he wants to do. Homa and Nona Will are here just to slightly boost the damage. They're not like exceptionally good for any particular reason. But both Dandelion is good because he has the really good 4 Iria thing here. 10% attack and 20% more damage to enemies affected by 3 or more debuffs, which is so easy in modern, sort of Convallaria. Also, Cole has the Alacrity buff that gives you 15% crit chance and 15% crit damage, both of which I think are not as good as Dandelion when you have Irie as an option, because this character has guaranteed crit, and the 15% damage is less than the 20% damage from the debuffs. So I think that this is better. Other than that, Tyre is pretty good because he has the meditation, which gives speed to. He's not like my favorite with this character, but he is a way to manipulate speed. Same with Edda. And Simona. Simona is actually pretty good as being literally the fastest character in the game. I guess Tyre is faster now. I don't know what I'm talking about. But she could lower speed by 50 just pretty much passively with this, with her Ice Lance. And also, actually, she has an AoE speed one down, so it's lowering speed, and she has the ability to give him basically armor to increase his survivability and kind of heal him as a support. So overall, just being able to manipulate speed a little bit and make him immune to frost tiles. Like, these are all characters that I think are pretty reasonable in a skill set. Obviously, other Iria characters, although he doesn't really fit into the Hangman's kit. So let's go ahead and take a look at a little bit of a demonstration of damage. Again, this isn't perfectly min-maxed or anything. He's only up to not quite 3,000 attack, which is good, but it's not bust. So first, we're just going to reset, I'd make sure everyone has all their energy. We will make sure everyone has their movement speed, and then we will stand by. The one thing I really want to showcase, we got to be up here to do, we are going to use the Iron Pot Stew. Did you actually give him the happiness, please? I want you to not give him the happiness. You gave the other 2 people the happiness, or did you give it to yourself? You gave it to yourself. It's all right. So one thing I want to showcase, we're going to come up here. We're going to use the Iron Pot Stew to give him happiness. Now, Coco sometimes just gives him happiness passively at the start of the turn, the characters around her. But we're going to have Homa go ahead and give you a little bit of juice. Homa is not the best here. She's just my favorite way to get increased attack. That's all. But really, if you want another way to get increased attack, because she doesn't need to give the defense down. So we're gonna move up here. And so very first thing you're gonna see here, right? This costs 1 energy, has 1 cooldown. So we're not even gonna use it this turn. I want to show you this over a couple turns because I do want to move this first turn to get into kind of a good position. Even though, again, you could use like a trinket or something, right? If you wanted to make sure to use it this turn. But I'm specifically trying to show something different. So we're going to move here. We are going to move you up here. You are going to apply your vulnerable and your judgment. I don't want you to attack. You just stand there. And so Edda is going to do a couple things here. You are going to... I think you can come up here. Sure, go ahead and lower that. I like that the wine barrel does do a little bit of damage. It's very little, but it does do a little bit. I want you to smack this. Give everyone the juice. Again, this is mostly just to get some damage. Hey, thank you for healing. So now Edda's dead. Good. We wanted her dead. Don't worry about it. Let's just go ahead and heal everyone up. And then we will, you know what? Go ahead and convert these into chicken nuggets. Thank you. And so now Coco doesn't even need to do anything. If you take a look here, he has happiness, right? He gets happiness just from standing next to her. So he has the breakfast buff, and the breakfast buff will give him happiness. So you could just stand here. I mean, you can give him the damage up if you need to. You don't need to, so you'll just stand here. All right, so first thing you're going to notice, 1 turn cooldown and then the 1 energy. When we attack here, it does 15,000 damage. That's not even including the crit. And we could use this, but let's go ahead and use that next turn. Let's just show you, boom, pinpoint, 22,000 damage, an extra little hit there. The bird comes in, is pretty good. We'll have you come up here, and just so you guys are all part of the same deal, you are able to, if you're able to do a trick, you could lower the enemy's, like, you could basically get double use out of the Warhorn in some situations, because this lasts until like the end of their turn. So if you're able to get them to, you can Warhorn them. If they go, you Warhorn them, and then you slow them down. So your characters go after them, and then they go before them. You can get a couple uses out of it. But let's go ahead and do the Warhorn here now. But what's really important is not the Warhorn necessarily. It's the we're gonna show you. Go and stand by. You know what? What? No, you don't need to heal. What are you, a chump? And now you could use this again. I don't know if he has his damage up though. So let's just give him the triple damage up. I don't think he has the attack up either, if I'm being honest. So like we're doing it kind of slow. But now you can take a look here. He could do this again every single turn. So if you just have him stand next to Coco, even without using her Iron Pot Stew, just by getting the breakfast, he's gonna get happiness every turn, and he could use this ability every single turn, and he can actually just do more damage, which is fantastic. And this is, he doesn't even have his you can actually come all the way, like ideally we would have been even further away, right, specifically to make it like do more damage. I actually wonder if you could target a further tile, like if they all do the same. They all do the same. But, you know, I wasn't trying to min-max here. I'm just trying to give you an idea of the build. But you could do a lot more damage with this character than what I did. But, yeah, here we go. These are the kind of units that I recommend using with them, because they're all just pretty darn good, if I'm being honest, for reasons I already explained. So, no need to ramble on. I really, really like this character. I actually do plan on using them quite a bit. I'll probably use them in a more traditional, easy-to-use way. I'll just grab the sniper ability, and then I'll have them move, get in the sniper stance, and then kill stuff. But I'm telling you, man, this pinpoint elimination, that shit's fire. This ability is really cool. I love this. And there's lots of, and now with Coco, you could use it every single turn. Anyway, that's all. Much love, Purplatypus. I'll see you on the flip-flops. Bye!